The soft hum of chatter filled the classroom as students laughed, exchanged notes, and planned for the upcoming birthdays. You sat quietly in the back row, playing with the edge of your notebook, your eyes occasionally drifting to the boy who sat 2 rows ahead, Jungkook. He was animated as usual, flashing his signature smile, running his hand through his dark hair, surrounded by a circle of admirers. He wasn't just popular, he was adored. And though your paths never truly crossed, your eyes always found him. You weren't exactly invisible, but people didn't pay you much attention either. You liked it that way mostly. There was comfort in quietness. You loved writing. Your stories and sketches kept you company when the world didn't. But sometimes, just sometimes, you wished someone would notice. You knew your birthday was coming up, not that you expected anyone at school to remember, except maybe your two close friends. Still, a small voice inside you hoped he would notice. Just a greeting, a simple happy birthday, nothing more. On Wednesday morning, you walked into school with a small smile. It was your birthday. You had woken up early, your mom gave you a hug, your dad left a note beside your breakfast, and your little brother gifted you a card made of crayon doodles. It wasn't extravagant, but it made you happy. As you walked through the corridors, you noticed decorations being set up, pink balloons, streamers, and a giant cake box being carried towards the student lounge. Confused, you paused and then you heard her name. Minji's birthday bash is gonna be lit. Jungkook is going all out of her. She's so lucky he even ordered her favorite cake, red velvet. You froze, Minji, his girl best friend. Her birthday was also today. Your heart dropped. You stood in place for a moment longer, watching them rush by, laughter echoing down the hallway. And then you walked to class, quieter than usual, the weight in your chest heavier than you expected. Hey, your friend Mia whispered when you slid into your seat. Happy birthday, Ryan. You forced a smile. Thank you. Are you okay? She asked, eyes narrowing in concern. You nodded slowly. Yeah, just a little tired. Mia glanced towards the hallway where the laughter still echoed. She didn't press further. As class began, you turned your attention to the front, pretending to listen, but your mind stayed in the hallway with the balloons, the cake, and the boy who hadn't even looked your way. During lunchtime, you stood near the edge of the crowd, hugging your books to your chest as students swarmed around Minji. She looked radiant in a new outfit, surrounded by friends and attention. And there he was, Jungkook, holding a slice of cake, red velvet, Minji's favorite. You watched him light a candle and kneel slightly to hand it to her with a cheeky grin. Make a wish, Minji, he said playfully. She giggled. I wish you would stop being such a flirt. He smiled. That's not gonna happen. Try again. The group erupted in laughter. You glanced down at your worn out sneakers. You okay? Mia asked beside you. You nodded half heartedly. Yeah, just need some fresh air. It's your birthday too, Ryan. You sure you don't want to at least grab a soda or something? It doesn't matter, you murmured, starting to turn away. Let's go before I change my mind. You begin walking down the hallway, the music fading behind you. That's when you heard your name. Ryan. You paused. Jungkook was jogging lightly to catch up with you. Hey, where are you going? Your grip around your books tightened. Nowhere important, you replied coolly. Skipping the party? That's not like you. Let's go. You looked at him slightly confused. You know what's like me? He tilted his head. Yeah. You used to always hang around events, remember? You loved the games and music. You gave him a small smile. People change. Didn't expect that from you. Did something happen? Maybe I just stopped talking to people who don't listen. He blinked, caught off guard. Is that directed at me? You shrugged, adjusting your back strap. I should go. You should be with Minji. He took a step forward. Wait, is everything okay? Did I do something? You gave him a half smile. Nothing you would remember. He opened his mouth to say something, but you had already turned to leave. And as you walked away, Jungkook stood in the hallway, a puzzled expression on his face. The moment hung heavily. Back in the cafeteria, everyone still laughed and danced. You faded into the corridor, quiet and unnoticed. In that moment, he didn't know it was your birthday. He didn't even know he once mattered to you. But something in your tone, your eyes, it stayed with him like a whisper from a forgotten memory. Jungkook, where did you go just now? Minji nudged his elbow, bringing him back from his thoughts. He shook his head, flashing a tight smile. Nothing. Did you eat the cake? She smiled brightly. It was the best cake of my life. Thank you so much. He smiled. Jungkook leaned back in his chair, spinning his pencil between his fingers. The buzz of the classroom faded into the background as he stared out the window. Brows furrowed, something about your tone kept echoing in his head. Think you will remember. What did she mean by that? Yo, Jungkook. Taemin nudged his arm, snapping him back. You good man? You have been zoning out since lunch. That cake got you in a sugar coma? Huh? No, just thinking, he muttered. Taemin smiled. About Minji? Dude, she was literally glued to your side all day. Jungkook shook his head. Not Minji, Wyan. Taemin blinked. Wyan? The quiet girl with the killer math grades? Yeah, I ran into her earlier. She seemed off. Taemin leaned back, stretching. I mean, she's always quiet. No, not like that. It felt like she was mad at me or something. Like I forgot something important. Taemin shrugged. Did you? Jungkook rubbed the back of his neck. I don't know. She said something weird. Nothing you would remember. What was I supposed to remember? Taemin smiled. You never care about such things. Now what? Do you by any chance like her, huh? Before he could say anything, the classroom door opened. Mia stepped in, balancing a pile of books. She paused near their row. Hey Taemin, Mrs. Han wants those books sent to the library. Again, why is it always me? Taemin groaned. Because you sit closest to the door, she said flatly. As Taemin stood to complain his way to the library, Jungkook turned to Mia. Mia, she raised a brow. Yeah? Wyan's your friend, right? She narrowed her eyes. Why? I think I messed up. She seemed really upset earlier. Do you know if something happened? Mia sighed, debating whether to answer. Today is her birthday. Jungkook's heart sank. There was silence for some time. Wait, what? You heard me. But Minji's birthday is today. So is Wyan's. Every year since middle school, same day, different story. He blinked, remembering how you stood at the hallway's edge earlier, quiet, forgotten. She didn't say anything. Mia gave him a look. Why should she? No one here cares. Jungkook stared at the desk in front of him. The puzzle pieces were falling into place. You weren't just quiet, you were heard, invisible in a room full of people, including him. I used to talk to her a lot, but why did she never mention? He asked. Mia's voice softened a little. Yeah, she used to help you with chemistry. You'd wait for her after school. You made her laugh, but then you drifted. Jungkook swallowed. I didn't even notice. That's the problem, Mia said and walked away. Jungkook sat still, chest heavy. How many moments had he missed? How many glances? How many birthdays? The bell rang but Jungkook didn't move. Students filed out, laughter echoing down the hallway. He remained rooted to his seat, thoughts swirling like storm clouds. Same day, different story. Mia's words echoed in his head. So did yours. Nothing you would remember. He remembered. Well, and pieces. A shadow of you waiting by the gates. A laugh muffled behind your hand as he tried and failed to pronounce stoichiometry, the soft way your eyes crinkled when you smiled, and then distance, Minji, parties, being pulled into the loud, and you fading into the quiet. He pushed himself up, grabbing his bag and heading to the library. Mrs. Han blinked when he walked in. Oh, Jungkook, I thought Taemin was. I need the old lost and found notebooks from last year. She raised a brow. Any reason? I think I left something important in one of them. After some hesitation, she nodded and gestured to a corner cabinet. It took him 15 minutes. He scanned covers, flipped through doodles and abandoned essays until one spiral bound notebook caught his eye. The cover was blue, a little torn at the edges. Inside, neat handwriting, yours. Formulas, diagrams, and in the corner of a page, faint ink smudges. You told me you liked stars more than planets because they didn't belong to anyone. I think that's why I liked talking to you, because you made the sky feel safe. Jungkook's breath caught. He turned the page. More notes, scribbled thoughts, a half-written poem. You probably don't remember half of what you say, but I do. He closed the notebook slowly, guilt heavy in his chest. It wasn't just a birthday he had forgotten. It was a friendship, a person, a quiet constellation of moments you had tucked away while he was too busy being seen by everyone else. He stood up, gripping the notebook. Hey, Jungkook. He turned to see Mia at the entrance, arms crossed. What are you doing? I just needed to remember, he murmured. She studied him for a moment. You are late. For what? She gave a small shrug. For noticing. Then she walked away. Jungkook looked down at the notebook in his hands. He wasn't sure what came next, but he knew it had to start with you. The rain had started as a drizzle during last period, but by dismissal, it poured like the sky was grieving too. You stepped out under the school awning, hugging your books to your chest. People ran past you with umbrellas or jackets over their heads. You didn't mind the rain. It felt fitting, somehow. You were about to make a run for the bus stop when a familiar voice cut through the sound of falling drops. Hey, you paused. Jungkook jogged up, breathless, holding out his umbrella. You blinked. You'll get soaked. He shook his head. Don't care. You looked away, the air between you suddenly heavier than the rain. What do you want? He hesitated, adjusting the grip on the umbrella. To walk with you. You raised an eyebrow. To the bench? He gave a small smile. You still go there? You didn't answer, you just started walking, slow and deliberate. Jungkook fell into step beside you, holding the umbrella above you both, his shoulder barely brushing yours. The silence stretched, punctuated only by the soft splash of your shoes in puddles. Why now? You asked finally, he sighed, because I forgot, and that doesn't feel okay anymore. You stopped at the bench, your bench, and sat, letting the umbrella rest against your shoulder. Jungkook stayed standing. You didn't look at him. You didn't just forget my birthday. He flinched. I know. You stared ahead, watching raindrops hit the concrete. You forgot me, bit by bit, the way I always waited, the times I helped you, the way I laughed when you made dumb jokes. You let it all blur until I wasn't even worth a glance. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. You beat him to it. I used to think it was my fault, you whispered, like maybe I wasn't loud enough to stay in your world. He sat beside you, slow and quiet. You were the only part of my world that didn't make me feel alone. Jungkook turned his face towards you. You weren't invisible to me. You laughed bitterly. You just didn't see me. His jaw clenched. That notebook, your notebook, I read it. Your head turned sharply. You what? In the library, I didn't mean to pry. I didn't know. I didn't know you remembered all those things. You looked away again. Of course I did. I don't forget people who make me feel safe, even if they forget me. Jungkook leaned closer, voice low. I'm sorry. There was a long pause. You know what hurts most? You said quietly. You remembered Minji's birthday, balloons, cake. You even sang. Jungkook's brows drew together. I did, but I didn't know yours was the same day. Look down. That's the point. I want to make it up to you. You scoffed. You can't rewind time. No, he agreed. But I can start now if you let me. The rain kept falling. You watched it for a while. Finally, you stood up. We'll see. Jungkook followed, matching your pace again under the umbrella. This time you didn't walk so far ahead. You arrived at school the next morning, expecting the same indifference that always clung to the hallways, but something was different. There was a small box on your desk. Wrapped in soft blue paper with silver ribbon, it looked oddly out of place among the scuffed desks and scattered notebooks. A card sat on top, your name written in a careful handwriting. You looked around, no one paid you attention, just as always, but your chest thudded. You picked up the note. Sorry, I missed it. Sorry, I missed you. I hope this makes you smile today, like you used to smile when I got the answers wrong on purpose, just to hear you laugh. Happy birthday, belated but not forgotten this time, Jungkook. Your fingers trembled as you opened the box. Inside was a delicate charm bracelet, not flashy or loud, simple, thoughtful. A tiny book, a pencil, and a silver moon charm. You remember telling Jungkook once, half a laugh, half a confession, that the moon felt more like you than the sun ever did. You didn't even know he had listened. The seat beside you shifted. You turned and there he was, Jungkook, back slung over one shoulder, nervous fingers tapping the desk. You found it? He said softly. You blinked. You remembered? He looked down, sheepish. I'm sorry it took me so long. I don't want to be the guy who forgets anymore. You held up the bracelet slightly. You're already not. He smiled then. You wanna skip lunch with me? I mean, not skip, skip. Just the rooftop is open. I brought lunch. You raised an eyebrow. You brought lunch? He shrugged. Well, I tried. There might be too much seaweed. You laughed for the first time in days. That's a risk I'm willing to take. The rooftop door cracked open, letting in a breeze that carried the warmth of the early spring sun. The city stretched far below, a muted blur of motion and sound, distant from the quiet stillness up here. You stepped out behind Jungkook, your fingers brushing the charm bracelet on your wrist. It glinted in the light, the moon charm catching a silver of sunlight. I used to come up here alone, Jungkook said, setting a small lunchbox on the ledge. But it always felt too quiet. Now it doesn't. You looked over at him, eyes soft. You are better at this than I thought. At what? You smiled, making things right. He looked away for a second, like he didn't believe he deserved that yet. But he opened the box anyway. Okay, full disclosure. Don't judge me, but I watched 3 YouTube tutorials for this. You giggled as he handed you a seaweed roll. Is that why your rice is shaped like stars? It was supposed to be hearts, he muttered. I panicked halfway. We both laughed, and for a moment it was like the heaviness that had settled between you for so long was gone. After a few bites, surprisingly edible, you looked up at him. Jungkook, why now? He paused, the breeze tousled his hair, because I didn't know what I had until I realized I'd already lost it, and that scared me more than anything else. You swallowed. You didn't lose me, didn't I? You reached over and lightly flicked his forehead. He winced. Oh, okay, deserved. You grinned. You didn't lose me, but I needed to know you saw me. He met your eyes. I do now, and I don't ever want to stop. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a tiny folded paper star. You opened it slowly inside in messy handwriting. Even the moon needs someone to admire it. You looked at him blinking. That was really corny. He laughed, leaning back. I've got a whole pocket full of them. Stick around. Might grow on you. I already did, you whispered. He turned, surprise flickering across his features, but then his expression softened. The wind blew a little harder, ruffling the paper wrappers, but neither of you moved. We just sat there side by side, hands barely touching, hearts finally heard. And as the clouds drifted lazily overhead, you both looked up. The sky was wide, endless, just like the beginning.